It's curious how SNK's most famous fighting game series, The King of Fighters, doesn't feature any kind of judges despite the games taking place in a fighting competition setting. On the other hand, Samurai Shodown, a franchise that has nothing to do with tournaments or rules, has an ever-present figure that fills this role, known as Kuroko The Referee. This mysterious character is usually forgotten about by players, while many of the series' multiple fighters just ignore him and don't give him much attention. Little did they know that behind his small stature and humble presence lurks an incredible power and insane strength. The first time he demonstrates what he can really do was in Samurai Shodown II, when he challenges the player as a hidden boss. No one will ever forget their first encounter against Kuroko, when you were minding your own business, just having a good time slicing people in half, and then suddenly, the forgotten referee decides for some reason to ruin your day and scar you for life. Just who is this guy? What is his purpose? And why is he so freaking strong? That's what we will try to answer in this video. But before exploring the identity and story of this enigmatic character, as always, if you like this content, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon so you can be notified with every new video posted. Let's start this video by making one thing clear. Kuroko is not the referee's real name, it's an alias. However, his real name can be seen during the credits of Samurai Shodown II. Although it's blurred, the word Slick Tsukihiro can be discerned, according to fans anyway. It's not like I can read Japanese myself. The name Kuroko is a reference to real-life invisible men in Japanese theater. Dressed all in black, they blend in the background and help with the play. Unlike the main actors and performers, their role is to stay in the background and remain as invisible as possible for an ideal result. The other important thing that should be mentioned is the fact that Kuroko is not one person. In fact, they are a quintuplets. In addition of Tsukihiro, who we already mentioned, the four remaining brothers are Jiro, Saburo, Shiro, and Goro. And yes, they are the 5 referees seen during the Perfect Twins. They are not the only referees and invisible men in the series, but the Kuroko persona is always and only assumed by one of these 5 men. In Samurai Shodown, Kuroko watches fights from the background and is often forgotten about from the game characters and real-life players alike. The combats in Samurai don't take place during a fighting tournament like KOF for example, and the roster of Samurai Shodown series seems to completely ignore him as he referees their duels. But when Kuroko decides to leave the background and steps in the main stage, it's when you know that stuff is about to get serious. Although he mostly hangs out in the background, Kuroko does intervene in the Samurai Shodown lore occasionally. He is an old friend of Aomaru and Genjiro's master, Nikotin. During their youth, they were specialized in exorcising demons and even had the chance of facing Rashujin Mizuki, the evil priestess of Ambrosia. The two men fought side by side against her, but eventually their combat ended with no clear winner. This was 30 years before the events of Samurai Shodown II. When Amakusa was resurrected, he kidnapped 4 of the Kuroko brothers and kept them hostages. He forced the 5th one to observe and judge the warriors who were seeking to challenge Amakusa, so the latter could have the upper hand in combat if they ever managed to reach him. When Amakusa was defeated, Kuroko was able to save and reunite with his brothers. But that little forced adventure taught Kuroko something. Witnessing others' duels and refereeing their combats was actually pretty fun and entertaining. He took a liking to it and started being a referee as a hobby. Kuroko is an incredibly powerful fighter. He was not interested in testing his skill or improving his fighting style like other warriors, as he was almost sure that no one can defeat him. And so, refereeing matches and witnessing great duels became his own path of the sword, even if it meant going to literal hell just so he can watch a great fight. But that being said, sometimes you could get impressed by a fighter's outstanding performance or triggered by another's cocky attitude, and that's when he decides to challenge them personally. This is when he gets to show what he is really capable of. So yes, the random encounters against Kuroko in some show games can be considered canonical. In Samurai Shodown 5 Special and Perfect, two games that are separated from the main canon of the series and have their own story, Kuroko is kinda the main character in them. He was tasked by the shogun to gather many samsho figures, including dead ones, and make them participate to a fighting tournament. Of course, his motivation was to watch all these dream matches and assist them as a referee. If you ever wonder how could dead characters be present in a tourney, then you should know that Kuroko was also probably behind that too. One of his special skills is necromancy and has no problem bringing the dead back to life. In Samsho 6, another non-canon entry, Kuroko is playable for the first time in the series, not counting the hacks in previous games. He joins a tournament organized by the Emperor himself and included every single Samurai Shodown character. Kuroko met his old friend Nicotine during one of the matches. After their friendly duel, they started reminiscing about the old times when Kuroko felt the presence of one of the strong bosses of the series. Once that was dealt with, Gao, who had conquered the Makai and enslaved all the demons in it, had become a demon himself and threatened to conquer the world of the living. Kuroko had to travel to hell again and stop Gao. After his victory, he confessed to Nicotine that he is done hunting demons and it is time for him to retire from that job for good. After all, he liked being a referee a lot more. Kuroko fights using his own style, called the 8 Ultimate Fists. The set style includes a lot of hand-to-hand combat. That doesn't mean he is unarmed though. Kuroko uses his two flags as weapons, acting as a double short swords. Not only they're surprisingly sharp, they also cannot be destroyed after being hit with a weapon flipping technique. They can transform into a grappling hook and use to bring the opponent closer to Kuroko, a la Scorpion style. In addition, Kuroko has also shape-shifting powers and has no problem taking the form of his opponent, as seen in Samsho 3. There are a lot of fan theories about Kuroko's real identity. The most famous among them is that he is actually Tang Furu from Fatal Fury. I can see why some may believe that, since the arguments in favor of this theory are many. First, there is the age. Tang is the oldest character in Fatal Fury, which led many to believe that he may have already been alive during the events of Samurai Shodown. Then there is the stance, which is identical for both characters. And finally, Kuroko uses many moves that are similar to Tang's, like the throw that looks a lot like Tang's Dragon Punch 1000 kick, or the muscular projection Gekiho. That being said, I do not agree with this theory. Concerning the age, it's true that Tang is old, but he is not that old. Samurai Shodown takes place in the 18th century. That means if Kuroko is Tang, he should be around 200 years old. However, we do know Tang's exact birthday, which is 1924, meaning he was 72 during Real Bout Special. Regarding the stance, it's true that the two men used the exact same one, but it's hardly enough of a proof to conclude that they are the same person. That leaves us with the similarities in the moves and techniques. There is no doubt about it, Kuroko uses Tang's moves. But here's the thing, Kuroko has another ability that I haven't mentioned yet. It's mimicry. He can easily copy others' signature moves, and Tang is far from being the only character he copied from. In fact, in Samsho 2, we can already see him throwing Takuma's Ao Shokoken at will. Not only that, but the projectile seems even faster with shorter startup animation. Kuroko's mimicry skills are well demonstrated in Samsho 6, where things got a lot crazier with him. In that game, he can effortlessly produce Kyo and Iore's fireballs, Yami Barai, and supers Oroshinagi and Yaotome, Takuma's Ao Shokoken, Haidan's Cross Cutter, Mai's Kachusen, Cherry's Power Geyser and Triple Geyser, Geese's Throw, Kim's Dash, and Ruga's Genocide Cutter. his version of these moves look even stronger than the ones executed by their original masters, and cherry on the cake, he can imitate some of these fighters' win poses as well. The fact that Kuroko can do all that, it's most likely just a reference to KOF characters implemented as pure fanservice. But if we have to find an explanation lore-wise, then maybe Kuroko is actually the origin of all these techniques and were passed on from generation to generation until they were inherited by the current KOF characters. Either that, or he can travel through time and space and somehow met these fighters, and that's how he learned these moves. I mean, the guy can shapeshift and resurrect the dead, so why can't he travel to other dimensions as well? It's needless to say that Kuroko is an insanely powerful character in story and gameplay. That's why he is banned from tournaments and can't be used. Still, he is humble enough to describe himself as a little bit strong and should be taken seriously when he's about to face his opponent. With him, the concept of fairness and balance goes out of the window. He is far stronger than any boss in the series, and the fact that encountering him is totally random in most cases make him the most unique and mysterious figure in all Samurai Shodown. Many players had played these games several times without even fighting him once, but the ones who were lucky to face him, or very unlucky depending on how you see it, will never forget the beating they took from this obscure little man named Kuroko the Referee. Special thanks to my patrons for their generous support. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did, and why not consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks for watching.